Hey guys, it's Rush. Today I'm going to be showing you how I will typically play on Sacred Valley. So for this game, I'm in the E25. It's a standard battle. I'm top tier. And Sacred Valley is one of those really cool maps where you actually have two options that are relatively decent. So on this map, you can either play the north or the south. Some people will play the middle, but the middle's pretty shitty, at least in my opinion. So the north and the south are the best options. Now, typically what you get when you play the north is you get to fight heavies, and then when you go to the south, you get to fight mediums. And so what you can see me doing is I'm in an E25, they have an IS-2 and an FV-201 on the enemy team. I don't want to fight those people, and so I've come to the south. So that's why I'm here. Now what you can see is because I'm so quick, I get here first. I'm going to be aiming on the cross section right here where it's very typical for tanks to cross. So while I'm here, I'm sort of mentally preparing. I'm expecting the Cromwell, maybe the E2, maybe one heavy who's not very good to be on this side, and that's pretty much it. So I expect to find very little competition on this side of the map. And so you can see the Cromwell's here. He's playing the ramp. He didn't choose to cross. And what you're going to find is because I'm getting permalit by this guy, I'm not going to be challenging him too much. And that's because I expect there to be more than one tank on this flank. And it's very, very common for tanks to be playing right here. And so what will happen is if I play this rage aggressively, the Cromwell will be spotting for his team. And I don't want to get shot by a heavy tank who's just sort of sitting in bushes or ready to snapshot me or whatever when I'm not preparing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back off because, like I said, we're 60 seconds into the game. People are likely to already be up there. And what you're going to notice is that the SU-122-44 does indeed spot someone who would have been in a position to shoot me if I had stayed there. So that's the M6. What's going to happen is I'm just going to sort of push into him because it's not normal for M6s to bring themselves to the south, so I'm not expecting him to be very good. You can see he shoots. He like misses both the SU and myself, and we're just going to put shots into him as he continues to sort of not really look at us. Now, that's going to get the kill on the M6. Currently, there's just a Cromwell right here. Now, the way this side of the map works, or the way at least I'm going to be playing it, is I'm not going to be obnoxiously aggressive, and that's because I'm scared of TDs at J4. So you can see the Cromwell backs off. I think about pushing him, but I'm going to not decide to do that, and my decision not to do that is immediately validated by the way that the IKV dies to a Stura Mill. So that's this IKV right here, and he died to a Stura Mill foreseeably in their base at like the J3, J4 area. And so that's what I noticed, and so like that's not going to happen. I'm not going to push into a Stura Mill where it's very common for other TZs to be there as well, and so you know that's why I'm not pushing into them. Now I almost drive off the bridge there. I'm not really used to the E25. I don't play it very much, but what you're going to see happen is I'm just looking for shots on the Cromwell who just died, but I just want shots on anyone who's in that guy's area. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the 3045 off. That's going to give me this bush, and hopefully someone will spot the TDs so I can tear them apart. Now that's what I'm waiting for right here. And what you're going to notice is I just got blind fired, so in all honesty, I'm not too worried about getting blind fired. I'm not lit, so the odds of them actually hitting an E25 who, you know, is hard enough to hit when he's lit is relatively low in my opinion. And so you can see the SU-152 drives in front of me. Now I'm going to shoot at him, and the second I get lit, or the second I think I'm going to get lit, I'm going to start falling back because I know someone was pre-aiming on this bush. I'm not going to stick around if I think I'm spotted while I'm in it. So that's basically what's happening here. Now, by this point in time, I sort of assumed that I wasn't lit, and the way the SU-152 isn't returning fire sort of validates my assumption that I made. So you can see I set him on fire, he dies, and my sixth sense goes off, proving that I wasn't spotted, poking on him, and I get the kill on that guy. Now, right here, this is something interesting. So if you look at the northern side of the map, I'm just going to bring your attention to the mini-map here as I fight the T-150. It's very likely for us to lose the north. It's a T-29 versus two tanks. One's a tier 6 and one's a tier 7. So I'm kind of mentally prepared for that flank to fall. So what I'm going to do is I want to kill this T-150 so I can go back to the base, not worried about the T-150 pushing into us. I don't really trust the teammates that I'm with, so I would like to kill him myself. Now you can see I'm backing off. I don't want to be sitting in front of the T-150. I don't know if Artie's focusing me, etc., etc. So I'm just going to back off, change the situation around the engagement so I don't get pre-fired by people who I can't see. Now, you can see the SU-122-44 is fighting that T-150. He's actually going to get penned by the guy, so he's going to turn into a one-shot, and so that's going to make me decide to trade some hit points just to get rid of that guy, because when the SU-122-44 is on 3 HP and there's TDs camping in base, I don't expect him to actually win the fight against the T-150. So I'm going to drive into him. That's just the plan anyways. So what you're going to notice is I don't spot TDs as I'm doing this, and so I'm not too worried about getting hit by TDs. My main fear right now, even though it's very common for TDs to be here or whatever, and sometimes here. I'm not worried because I'm not spotting them, and so my biggest fear is Artie, so I'm just going to sort of stop, aim my last shot on this guy, get the kill, and immediately after that, I mean, you can see the Artie shoots and then the Hummel shoots at the SU-122-44, so I'm going to get out of this location. Now, the SU-122-44 is pushing into where we've just, like, where I earlier confirmed that the Stura Mill was. I know the Stura Mill is full HP because he wasn't spotted, and then there was also the Nashorn who wasn't lit. So you can see the SU-122-44 gets killed by the Nashorn, and I don't want to have a Nashorn on my rear while I'm going to defend the northern flank from an E-25 and a heavy tank who are likely to be pushing into our base. So I'm going to YOLO this Nashorn. I just want to get him out of the fight. I'm full HP, so I'm okay taking a hit from this guy. You can see he almost misses, but he gets the hit anyways, and he kills my commander. And now they're on our cap, and so I'm put in this situation where I'm probably going to have to reset the cap circle. So as I push, you can see the Stura Mill hasn't left his base. It's currently a 4v1. I just killed the Nashorn, so I actually did get a Fade-ins in this game. But what you're going to see is I'm going to push into their base and ignore the Stura Mill who's behind me because I don't really, like, there's 30 seconds left on the cap. I have to go back to reset. Now, what's going through my mind right here is just resetting. I'm aware that the Stura Mill might be chasing me, but he has been camping base all game, so I don't really expect him to have left. But it's just in the back of my mind that that guy might be chasing me, so I want to reset the cap quickly before that guy flanks me, and so I have to win this engagement against the E-25 and whatnot relatively quickly. So what you can see happening is I'm resetting. I got the reset on the last second. The E-25 ends up putting 2 into me. I finish him off, and now it's just the 304 who's left, and now I'm going to push into him because, like I said, the Stura Mill is probably going to be chasing me, at least in my mind, and I also don't really want to get hit by the Hummel who's likely to be focusing me down because I'm the only guy lit and I'm the only guy alive, so I'm worried about Artie, basically. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this guy to try to kill him as quickly as possible. He shoots over me, I get the kill, and then immediately I'm going to get stunned by Artie. Thank God he didn't actually hit me. And so now we're put into this situation where it's a 2v1. So, given the context of this game, I know that they've got a Stura Mill, and I know that Stura Mill has been in base all game. He hasn't moved to save his team at all. And so in my mind, I'm thinking that sure, he might have chased me, but if he had, I would be spotting him as I drive away because based on the timings, he'd probably be in this area if he had just followed my route directly and just gone to shoot at me while I was trying to reset the base. And so I haven't spotted him, and so that makes me think he's continuing to camp in his base. Now, I don't know what the Hummel's doing because I haven't seen him play at all. He hasn't really moved around, and so in my mind he might get on cap. He might try to move to the south. He might try to move to the north. I'm not sure what he's going to do, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pick a position that gives me some sort of vision on the enemy team. If they try to make a play, I want to give myself the ability to potentially spot them. And so what I've done is I've chosen this area right here. Probably would have been smarter for me to be in the bush, but it is what it is. What you can see is I'm watching this alley, so if like a Stura Mill or something decides to leave base, they'll probably take this route. My hope was to try to spot that. You can see move over to the bush. I'm watching it as I turn around, like I was watching that flank as I turned around. And by now, the Stura Mill hasn't gone uncapped, so I don't think he's chased me, and neither has the Hummel. So in my mind, I'm thinking that they're still camping in base. So what I'm going to do is, because they saw me go play to the south, like when I was spotted, they knew I was coming to the south, so they probably think I'm still here. My decision is to go play the north, and that's going to sort of give me some time to deal with the Stura Mill. Like, the hope is to flank him, because probably he'll be pre-aiming the south. At least, that's what I'm thinking. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive all the way around. Now, it is very likely that the Stura Mill or something has left base, and I would run into him as I make this play. So, it's basically a 50-50. I could either go up the B line and risk that the Stura Mill isn't there and like hope I just spot him as I'm driving along, or I could go up the route I'm going to take. And so I would think that the B line route is more likely, so I'm taking this one instead, because if I get spotted by the Stura Mill and he's directly in front of me, I'm a one-shot to him. So I want to try to spot him as I'm moving, as I'm, you know, sort of changing the situation, because I don't want him to just shoot me, and that would be the end of the game. So that's why I'm taking this route. It's also, obviously, it's going to give me a shot on J3, and that's where I think the Stura Mill still is. I think he probably would have moved to K3. Like, this is what's going through my mind. He's probably moved down to K3 or whatever. But just in case, I'm going to try to spot J3, and I'll take a couple blind shots at it, because if I can hit him, that would be great. Now, that's what I'm going to do from this location. You can see it's going to, generally you can sort of spot Artie from here sometimes. So that's what I'm trying to do at least. You can see taking blind shots into his last location. I actually didn't see the puff of smoke on that shot, so I'm going to shoot there again. I just assumed I was hitting him, and then I sort of aimed backwards in case I had shot him and he was driving backwards after being shot or whatever. And so that's the blind firing that I did. Now I think he's there because I actually saw a shell, like I didn't see the impact from the shell hitting the ground, so I think he's there, and so I'm going to try to approach it to try to spot him, and that's exactly what's happening. And so you can see I'm just playing these ridges, trying to find a way to spot the Sturra who I think is up there, and then he's going to get on cap or something, and that's going to totally change the way I'm going to play. So right there, someone gets on cap. Now, I haven't spotted the Artie, I haven't spotted the Sturra, so in my mind I'm like, okay, at the time I didn't really care about how they got into our base. I just knew that at least one tank was in our base. You're noticing that 2 tanks aren't on cap, so that makes me think maybe the Sturra is on cap and the Artie's like continuing to camp or whatever. I'm not really expecting to find both of them, because in this situation it makes sense to put 2 on cap. Like, that's what I would do 9 times out of 10. So you can see they haven't done that, so I'm expecting just for there to be 1 tank, and I'm gonna get a bit surprised when I'm gonna go to the left to try to reset, and I'm gonna find the Sturra right in front of me. So there's the Sturra. Now I didn't expect that. I take a shot at him, I miss. He didn't shoot, so I'm just trying to understand what type of player he is. He didn't snapshot, so maybe I can risk a second or 2 in front of his gun. That's just information I noticed. Now I know the Hummel's on cap, obviously, so I put a shot into him. He misses, so that's going to allow me to finish him off. And as I'm doing this, you see me check behind me, and that's because I'm really expecting the Sturra to try to flank me as I farm the Hummel. I'm also, like, that would be the best play, right? For him to try to flank me in this situation. So as I fight this, every single time I shoot, I'm checking behind me. I'm really expecting for him to come behind me, and he doesn't do that. You can see he's pushing in front of me, and so I'm in this situation where I have to try to reverse faster than a Sturra. Now, luckily, he doesn't chase me. So that was like my first stroke of luck. If he had just driven around the corner, he probably would have killed me, but he chose not to, which is amazing. And you can see he's playing that corner. And so what I'm going to do, because he's playing the corner, I'm going to try to get above him. I know I can climb this area, or like this mound or whatever, so I'm going to try to get above him. Maybe here I can drop down onto him and circle him. And so that's sort of what I was expecting to be able to do right here. You can see where I'm looking. I actually expected him to be hugging this, and he would be looking one of 2 ways, and I would just YOLO him whichever direction he wasn't looking. But you can see he's backed up, and so that was a really good play by this guy. Like, not to push into me was probably the best thing he could have done. He increases the distance of engagement, which sort of negates my ability to outmaneuver him, and so that's what he does right here. And so I'm not expecting that. He actually snapshots at me, which I think is great, and I'm not going to take advantage of his reload to get another shot, simply because I wasn't mentally prepared to do that. And so that was an outcome that I didn't see. Now, right now he's on cap. There's 3 minutes left. I've got 7 kills and a Faden's on the line. When you're carrying, you don't really want to think about that kind of thing, though. Like, so, how do I say it? While I was playing this game, it's very common for, like, so this is a real thing that happens to everyone. They think of how great the game would be if they actually won it. So for me, I'm thinking, oh, I'll put this on my YouTube channel, and, you know, it's an 8-kill game, etc., etc. When you're carrying, you can't think about that because you've got the game at hand to actually try to win. And so my advice, if you notice yourself thinking about the end of the game, you have to stop yourself. You have to think about what you're going to do in the now. And it's just like a mind, I don't know, you have to control your thoughts because it's more important. Like, if you stop thinking about how you're going to beat the Sturra, you're probably not going to beat the Sturra. So at the time, I took those thoughts away from me and I started thinking about the game again. And you can see I'm trying to change the angles. I don't really know where the Sturra is looking, so I'm trying to approach this safely. You can see he hasn't noticed me, and so that's really interesting. His situational awareness seems to be quite terrible. So I was able to put 2 shots into him for free. It's like he doesn't have 6 sensor and something. And that's another thing that I noticed. It's like he did not notice me until I started shooting him. So my plan is to take advantage of that. Because I have such great mobility and because I have over 3 minutes, well, about 3 minutes to kill this guy, I'm going to be able to take my time to try to engage this guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the angle entirely. He's a TD. He doesn't have a turret, so I can really abuse that. And so I'm going to go all the way over to this side to put another couple shots into him. Now, the way I do this is going to be interesting. I think it's a bit of a mistake. If this guy had 6th Sense or better situational awareness, he would notice that he gets lit right here. So I get lit too. and like he doesn't, or do I get lit? Yeah, I get lit, and he doesn't notice it. So that's like amazing as far as I'm concerned. But you can see he was pre-aiming where I was last spotted, so I'm gonna be able to put 2 shots into him for free. I don't get the track shot right there, and he doesn't snapshot at me, which is amazing. So what I'm gonna do, because TD players pretty much by default have to pre-aim, they have to get lucky with their guess, I'm going to fake that I'm going back to where I was initially. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive. I know that I'm still lit, I'm still lit, I'm still lit. He sees me moving this way. I saw him following me with the tank. The second he gets unspotted, I'm going to turn my tank, and I'm going to go back to where I just was. So this is a fake. I'm faking that I would go to the B line or whatever to try to reset, and you're going to notice he's going to fall perfectly for it. He's not even going to be looking at me. I'm going to go super wide this time to give myself more time. He's backing up, and then we're going to be able to finish him off right about, it's the next shot. So there you go. So that's how I got 8 kills on this map. We can go take a look at the end plates and a map tactic, and then we'll take it from there. So alrighty, so for this game, I started up with an initial south play. So I drove from my spawn all the way to the ramp right here. Now, I'm not used to playing the ramp, but typically what I found, what you get is from the ramp is you get to fight the people who cross right here. And then you also get to fight the people who are playing the opposite side of the ramp. So anyone who's like right here. And then once that was done, like once I had won that engagement, well, the Cromwell hadn't really won. He'd backed off enough so that it let me go fight the this angle over here. And then once I had ended up killing the Cromwell and the T-150, I was in this situation where we were losing the north, and I had to foreseeably go back to reset. And so one of the most important lessons I could really teach for anyone who's trying to get better at carrying games is to win the side that you're playing on, because if you don't, you're going to end up getting pincered from multiple directions. So what you saw me doing is I made multiple risky plays to try to win. Well, not really risky, but like it cost me some HP or whatever. I made multiple plays to try to win the south because I knew basically this is what happens. If you don't win the side that you're playing on, this is what will happen. There's enemies pushing into their cap, into your cap, I suppose. And then if you don't clear out the side you're playing out, which in this case was the south, there's also going to be enemies coming from this direction trying to, you know, shoot at you as you reset the cap. And so it would be very likely for that Nashorn to be somewhere like, I don't know, right here or whatever, shooting at you while you're trying to defend the base because there's people on your cap. And so I needed to kill anyone who I knew was on the south because I didn't want to get shot in the rear. And you can see that's why I made the plays that I did. From there, it really allowed me to just sort of push up like so and then come back to reset. I reset with 1 second left, and then we sort of reached the end stages of the game. So that was the first stage, the middle stage, and then once we had reset the cap and killed a huge amount of the enemy team, it was just us left. So the rest of the play from there was pretty much just by ear. What I knew, like the information that I had, was that they had one Artie who's likely to be in this area, and they also had a TD who is likely to be right here. And so what I did is I went and played the south, and that was so I could watch what I expected to be tanks moving to reset the, like to go get on cap, or just because they got bored or whatever. I went to this location to try to spot that, because to me, a TD who had sort of played the south was more likely to go to the south, and so I wanted to catch him off guard if he tried to make any sort of play like so or like so. So that's why I was where I was. And from there, I eventually like got bored. I was impatient or whatever, and so what I did is I ran all the way like so, and then I pushed into their base like this, and that was to try to go catch the Sturm Mill, who I expected to have not left the base right there. Now, what you're going to notice is the route that I took probably saved the game, at least from what I'm thinking, because the Sturm Mill was able to sneak by into our base without us knowing, and I don't know how he did that, but what I think happened is I think it's very likely for him to have taken this route right here, and we passed without proxy spawning each other. That's what I think happened because of the way the Sturm Mill was camping on this corner. I think he probably went through this road. And so me choosing not to take that road, I think, is what won us the game, because I would, if I was here, you know, if I was driving like so and the Sturm Mill was right here, it would not have worked. I was a one shot for him, so he would have killed me 9 times out of 10. So my route actually kept me alive. Now, the route I took was the route I would suggest taking if you're going to push into the enemy base, because fighting TDs, when you're in an E25, you don't want to fight a TD generally in like an obnoxiously close engagement like I would have been, because he probably would have just been camping this corner looking like this, and I would have gone like this, and he probably would have killed me. And so I changed the angle to try to fight the guy who I expected to be camping in the base, and then he got on cap, and I basically just sort of outplayed the two guys who were on cap, and so that part was pretty straightforward. But that's the game. We can go look at the end plates. What you can see is I got 118,000 credits, 5,265 XP with the double. That was a, like I said, mastery badge. I got a Delanglades, I'm probably saying that wrong, medal, Kolovanov's, Pascucci's, Radley Walters, high caliber defender, and a Top Gun. In the end, I did 3,558 damage, so not my highest damage, but certainly one of the better games that I've played in this vehicle. 1,595 base and 8 kills. So that resulted in a 72k credit profit, and that's the game. So I hope this video was helpful. If you want to see more, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button. And any questions, feel free to ask in the comments down below. And yeah, I'll see you around. Later, guys. Bye-bye.